share with you this week's Parshas, בחוקותי, something very beautiful from the Rebbe's father, Rabbi Yitzchok Zatzal. In the end of Parshas בחוקותי, we have the laws about someone who consecrates a holy piece of land or makes it holy to the holy temple. There is an interesting story in Masechta Gitin, the Talmud Gitin Daf Nun Beis Amud Aleph. The Gemara says such a story. There was a man called Rabbanah וקבא Aleph Vav Kuf Beis Aleph. He was an orphan, and he was selling wine, and he sold it to somebody, every barrel for 4 zuz, 4 dinar. And the buyer took the wine and wanted to acquire it and brought it into his possession. He took the wine home, but he didn't pay for it. And they made up a price, four dinar for each barrel. Dinar is a coin in times of the Talmud. And the time he wanted to pay for it, the wine increased in value. There was a shortage of wine, and the price went up, and now it was 6 dinar for a barrel. Came an argument now between the orphan, Rabbanah וקבא, and the buyer. The buyer said, I took the wine, we made up a price, 4, I'm paying you 4 for a barrel. The orphan said, no, the price now is 6, you pay 6. So they came in front of Rab Nachman, and Rab Nachman said in the name of Shmuel, Nichse Yesoimem Hare Henke Hektish. The merchandise that belongs, anything that belongs to an orphan, if you buy it, it's just like you're buying something from the holy temple, hektish, something that belongs to the temple. In Chumash, in this week's Parshas, it says, "V'nosan hakesef v'komloi," that when you acquire something from the holy temple, everything is based on giving of the money. As long as you didn't give the money, the transaction is not fulfilled. And therefore, nothing happened over here till you give the money. Orphans are like hektish, and therefore, now the price is 6, said Rab Nachman. He told the buyers, you got to pay 6 zuz, 6 dinar for each barrel. Rabbi Yitzchok explains every detail about the story, but he gives a beautiful explanation, many things. Right away, he starts off with a nice, interesting gematria. The name וקבא, it comes from the word eikev, heel. Eikev, ayin kuveis, adds up to 172. And that's the same gematria as grapes. Anovim, ayin nun beis yud mem is 172 together. Hinting וקבא, what's his business going to be? This orphan, he's selling wine made out of anovim, grapes. But ask us, Rabbi Levi, what's the logic between when you buy something from regular, ordinary people, and then the law is that when you do meshicha, means you draw the object, the merchandise, whatever it is, into your property, that is what makes the selling, that establishes the price, or we judge when the seller received the money by hegdish. What's the difference? So the explanation is, and also why is orphans like hektish? Why are they like the holy temple? Explains Rabbi Levi, it's very logical. In every single transaction, you have the buyer and you have the seller. The seller gets the money and the buyer gets the merchandise. Now, if you say, at what moment do we say that the transaction gets established? If you say that when the buyer draws the object into his possession, that's what establishes it. So then you're telling me that it's the buyer that is the main player over here, and whatever he does, that takes effect. If you say, no, that everything is based on when the money comes in, so then it's the seller is the one who receives the money. So then you're telling me, it's the seller who's the main player over here. So then if you have, like we had in the Talmud, this man he took barrels of wine from the orphan, from Rabbanah Ukva. If you say the money is what establishes, since Rabbanah Ukva didn't get the money yet, therefore you have to pay the higher price, 6 for a barrel. If you say that it's the drawing, it's the taking of the barrels into your possession, that's what counts, the buyer, then you go by 4. And this is what Rabbi Nachman said, no. That we go according to who gets the money like Hegdish. And the logic is like this. By ordinary people, we say, 2 people get together and they make up a price. And if the seller agrees, you could pay me later, no problem. Give me the cash later, or give me the money later. And the buyer takes it in his possession. Over there, 2 people make up. It's a done deal. It's the buyer who has the advantage because the seller wants to sell it anyways. He wants to sell his produce, his product. So therefore, the the buyer wins. It goes in his possession. However, when it comes to holy objects, over there you're talking about Hashem. Person is buying something from God. It belongs to Hashem. Bedek Habayis from the Beis Hamikdash. Over there you have to say it's Hashem who's the main player, and therefore even though you took it into your possession, it doesn't take effect until you actually pay the Beis Hamikdash. And therefore it'll be the same thing. If you take something from Beis Hamikdash and you tell the one in charge, I'll pay you tomorrow, and then the price goes up, you got to pay the higher price by Hegdish, because everything over there, it's Hashem who's the main player, not the receiver, not the buyer. And now explains Rabbi Yitzchok so beautiful. Orphans, it says, we know what it says in Tehillim. We say it in Dovid Hashem Oiri, every month of Elul. It says, Ki ovi ve'imi azavuni, my father and mother forsake me, v'Hashem yasfeni, and Hashem will gather me, He will embrace me, He'll take me in. All over in Talmud we have that orphans, who's the real father of the orphans? Hashem says, the physical father is not here, or the mother, I take that place. Hashem is the Avi Yisoimim, the father of orphans. And therefore explains Rabbi Yitzchok, when someone buys something from an orphan, there's Hashem over here is representing him. And therefore it goes the same idea. It's not when the buyer draws the object into his possession. Everything goes when the seller will receive his money, because he's dealing with Hashem, and Hashem is the main player. And therefore when you give your money, that's when it establishes the transaction. Not necessarily just because you took it, and even though you agreed on the price. And therefore, said Rab Nachman, that in this case, he told the buyers, Rabbanah Ukva, Hashem represents him, he's like Hegdish, and therefore the price went up, he didn't get his money yet, you got to pay 6 for each barrel, because the orphans are represented by Hashem.